The G1 for 2020 rolls on, and oh my god, trying to keep up with the G1 in general is crazy. Jamming 20 shows in 30 days. So tonight we are going to cover night 5 and 6, and then on Wednesday we're going to continue on 7 and 8. Since the English is out on those now. So I watched all these shows in English. Did you watch any of them in Japanese, or do you got them all in English too?
No, both of these I watched in English.
Yeah. It's so much easier to keep up, and Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero have been doing a really good job, and they always keep you up to date, and if you forgot about one little thing, they will mention it. And one thing that I always like about the G1, especially with having the English commentary now, is it's actually a good starting point for new viewers, I think. And because when it comes to covering backstory, Kevin Kelly covers all this backstory. So I find like coming in at a G1 might actually be the easiest point to get into New Japan, because you get everything covered for you.
Yeah, a lot of my notes on these shows are just praising Kevin Kelly, especially. It's funny because I go back and I watch 2000 2001 WWF when he's just such a dork, and now he's like, I just can't believe what an amazing announcer Kevin Kelly ended up being. God, he's great at this.
All right, so let's set it up here. Thanks for everybody for tuning into That's Wrestling. My name is Eric LaRoche, and with me tonight I have Trae Wisecarver. If you are watching this on YouTube, this is available as a podcast. If you are listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on YouTube, so you can just follow the link in the show notes and subscribe over there, and you can join us when we do this show live. You can ask questions, add comments, and all of that fun stuff. Head over to iTunes, give us a review. It really helps out in the search results. And we also have a Discord if you want to come hang out. We have a whole bunch of different topics, but wrestling is one of them in that Discord server, so you can come hang out. Link is in the description and show notes. So overall, what did you think of the nights 5 and 6?
Then two, it's strange because for the G1 they're middling shows, but by any other standard these are fantastic wrestling shows. It just very strong. You get that strong, perfect example of an opening match, and then you have 5 tournament matches that are some kind of varying levels of either really great, or if you are into New Japan and you are into these characters, every match is some kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking quickly through, we had some really excellent matches. One kind of boring match, but other than that, I think we had plenty of good matches of these 10 matches, 10 tournament matches, plus the 2 Young Lions matches. We had a lot to go with. So let's start off. Night 5 was September 27th, 2020. Started off with Gabriel Kid and Yota Tsuji. And I thought this was a fine match, just kind of a standard back and forth on this one. Gabriel Kid picks up the win with a butterfly suplex. He's been using this kind of as his bit of a signature finisher here.
Yeah, another strong Young Lions match. This is always a good matchup. All of these guys are really good for different reasons, and it's fun to watch them and think about the performers that they're going to be in 5 to 10 years, because they'll all be great. These 3, they'll all be great for really different reasons. But just for the wrestling that I in particularly get excited about, I think Gabriel Kid is going to be something really special. And this is actually in my notes for the next match, but I'll just go ahead and bring it up now. For his excursion, when we get to do excursions again, I think that they should send him, and they have their relationship. So this is There's no reason this wouldn't be a possibility. Send Gabriel Kid to train catch wrestling with Josh Barnett.
Yeah. I think that would serve him really well, given how the style he's using now. I think that would probably be really good. Gabriel Kid, he's also he's been wrestling for 10 years now. He started training when he was 14, and he's 24 now. And I think, oh, okay, you were frozen there for a second.
Yeah, you keep freezing. I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't know why, but it shouldn't be.
Well, as long as the audio is good, then we're good. The audio hasn't cooked out, so. But yeah, Gabriel Kid, he's been wrestling for 10 years now, so that is pretty crazy that he still came in to be a young lion and basically get trained all over again. Though he's not the first. Recent LA dojo graduate Carl Fredericks the same way. He was wrestling for many years before he went into the dojo and kind of restarted his training over again. So and Gabriel Kid did come out of the LA dojo, but he happened to be in Japan when the pandemic hit and decided to stay. Obviously a good move for him because now he's going to be pretty much wrestling 15 times over the course of this G1. And Shibata seems to be very high on Gabriel Kid as well. So if you're getting praises from Shibata, you're probably doing something good.
Absolutely, man. He's going to be something really special.
All right, we go on to the first block match of the evening, kicking off. This is a block A night, so we have Yujiro Takahashi versus Taichi, and Yujiro attacks Taichi with his cane before the bell, so get a shot in early. Taichi goes to the outside and they go around the ring. Taichi grabs the ring bell hammer and hits Yujiro right in front of the ref twice. This is an ongoing issue that I find with Taichi is he's used this tactic a couple times right in front of the ref multiple times. It's like, okay, you need to figure out how to get the ref's attention elsewhere before you smack the dude with the ring bell hammer. Yeah, because that's like a blatant DQ right there. So anyways, Taichi has control for a short stint. Yujiro hits a fisherman buster for a 2 count, and later they get into a striking exchange. Yujiro ends up dropping Taichi with a forearm. Then he hits an Olympic slam for a 2 count. Yujiro goes for pimp juice, but Taichi hits a Saito suplex instead. Taichi went for a DDT. Well, at least it looked like he was going for a DDT, and Yujiro turns that into a kind of a Samoan drop type of move. It was an interesting little sequence right there. And then Taichi pushes the ref, which then makes him turn his back, gives Yujiro a low blow, and then pins him for the win. Taichi goes to 6 points in his first 3 matches. Not something I expected out of Taichi in this tournament.
No, Taichi off to a strong start. Literally probably everyone's least anticipated match of the tournament, but it was not offensive. They were both competent professional wrestlers. It was just Taichi versus Yujiro. I will shout out Taichi because I've seen a bunch of people just here lately on both New Japan and in like AEW do the Gato clutch and not win with it, but Taichi did it right here and actually won with it. So even Gato during that tag tournament couldn't win with the Gato clutch. So good for the Taichi style Gato clutch is clearly the superior form of Gato clutch.
All right, then we go to if he was bigger, it would have been a Haas battle, but it was still a battle anyways. We had... Yep.
And if the other guy was meaner, it would have been a mean guy match.
Yeah, so we have Jeff Cobb versus Minoru Suzuki. I loved this match. They start off the match with actually a lot of submission wrestling, which you wouldn't think, but then they fight onto the outside. Suzuki gets into his normal cadence, running Cobb into the barricade, hits him with a bunch of strikes, and then he drops him at about the 10 count point of the 20 count, and Cobb has to make his way back in. He makes it in at 16. Suzuki continues to maintain control for a good amount of the match. They get into a striking exchange. It looked like some of Jeff Cobb's forearm shots had quite a lot of light in them. They missed Suzuki by quite a bit. Cobb hits a bunch of suplexes, some gut wrenches, some like inverted gut wrench suplexes, and runs Suzuki into the turnbuckle while he's holding him upside down, then hits a power slam, standing moonsault for a 2 count. Suzuki avoids 2 attempts at Tour of the Islands, turning the second into a guillotine choke, and then he switches to the rear naked, hits the Gotch pile driver, and picks up the 3. One thing I do have to note, as Suzuki was leaving, when he got to the stage, it looked like he was genuinely happy. He had smiles across his face. It looked like he was having the time of his life. It wasn't the maniacal smile. It was like a legit happy smile that he had. It just looks like he's having a great time.
It's the way that, a normal person may feel after a particularly gratifying sexual experience. That's how Minoru Suzuki feels about a particularly violent fist fight.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like one of the more fun guys out of like the new. Of course, he has his internet presence. He's a huge hat guy, obviously, because he has a weird haircut all the time. So he always has the crazy hats. So he's always posting on like Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. He seems like a genuinely fun guy to hang out with.
So listen to this. See how this hits you. What if Jeff Cobb joins Suzuki-gun and becomes Matanza Suzuki?
I would not have a problem with that, but I mean, joining Suzuki-gun probably would not be a bad thing for Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is just kind of sitting out by his lonesome at the moment. He's signed with New Japan. He's going to be a regular there. So it makes sense to bring him into a faction at some point.
I think that training with Minoru Suzuki would really help Jeff Cobb find his mean streak, his killer instinct. Look, Jeff Cobb is really something special, but he needs an edge. He needs something. But yeah, this match was really, really fun. And this is another one of those weird matches, that we talked about, and I'm not saying that I dislike it, it's just different, but they wrestled and fought and wrestled, and then Suzuki hit his move and won. It's a fascinating, it seems like anti-psychology, but in its own way, it is such good psychology.
Yeah, that's happened in quite a few of the matches during this G1, is that there's really no clear cut who's going to win except for the last 5 seconds. Like, you're not sure which way it's going to go. But I mean, that is a bit of a kind of a hallmark of the New Japan style, or of whatever the modern style. It's not even specific to New Japan, but yeah. But I thought this was a really fun match. We go into another really fun match to watch, and this is Kota Ibushi versus Tomohiro Ishii. They have a few lockups early on, and then they get into a striking exchange. Each of them had to throw at least 15 forearms apiece. Lots of chops from Ishii, of course. Rocky Romero actually mentions that Ishii gets his best sleep during the bus rides.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. They give each other suplexes. Both of them no-sell the suplexes. They're basically just throwing everything at each other during this. They get into a slap fight that I just giggled at because of how they were delivering them, like, and the expressions on their faces. It was actually hilarious and awesome at the same time. They're just like trading slaps. It was hilarious. Ishii turns a Rana attempt from Ibushi into a power bomb, gets a 2 count. Ishii uses the Ibushi uses the knee to get out of a vertical brainbuster, and then he ends up dropping Ishii with I think it was a V-trigger like knee. Then Ishii avoids a Kamigoye with a headbutt that looked brutal.
Oh boy, did he! I would like to read my notes verbatim. Ibushi goes for the Kamigoye, and Ishii just headbutts that motherfucker in the face.
They have a little bit more of a back and forth. Ibushi hits a Bomaye for a 2 count, a little bit more back and forth until Ibushi hits a flying knee. The Kamigoye gets the 3 count. This match was awesome, and even after the match, they're both wiped out, but they're still like crawling at each other, and Ishii's like trying to slap him while the young boys are trying to, or the young lions are trying to keep them apart or give them ice and whatnot. I thought it was pretty funny that like neither of them wanted to have the fight be over. I'm curious if this might work into a program of some sort with Ishii or some sort of a alliance between the two of them.
Here's the thing, and it's a beautiful thing in pro wrestling that I've only ever really seen done in Japan. It's not something. It's just it takes a level of passion and like sports like commitment that you just don't see in American pro wrestling. But sometimes there'll just be certain matchups that will, it's like it is a sports rivalry. These certain matchups are going to come up in competition now and then, and those people against each other have the greatest potential for violence. Okay, this is one of those matches. This is, my God, when they're just standing and just slapping the shit out of each other, and it's just so beautiful. This is high art. Man, it's wonderful. Just a fight, a violent battle. Just everything about this was wonderful.
Yeah, great to see Ibushi in full form this year after suffering an ankle injury basically in the first match of his G1 last year. So hopefully everything stays good for him and we continue to see a really good performance out of Ibushi. Next up, we have, again, another really good match. Shingo Takagi versus Will Ospreay. I wasn't sure going into I know they're both really good, but I feel like it would be a bit of a clash of styles coming out of this one. But oh my God, they have an amazing, just like the opening sequence, they had a few tests of strength. They try shoulder blocking each other. They had one of the longest sequences of counter wrestling I have seen in a long time. Instead of, each person counters like 3 moves, this had to been almost like 7 moves each where the other one countered out of it. It was amazing. Shingo finally starts to come up with a bit of a game plan, starts targeting Will Ospreay's neck. They exchanged a ton of chops. This match then goes back and forth. They have striking exchanges. There's one spot where Ospreay hit this crazy flip over stunner, like flying out of midair, like he flipped over in midair and then re-grabbed the stunner. So it's not like Darby Allin's flip over where he's holding the neck the entire time he's going over the other dude. No, he was completely detached from Shingo doing the flip over and then grabbed the stunner on the way down. Ospreay hits a coast-to-coast drop kick while Shingo is in the Tree of Woe. And it's not like he came up short. He was still in the air when he made contact. It was insane. He hits a shooting star press after that, getting a 2 count. Shingo hits a Noshigami, and then Ospreay hits an Os Cutter for a 2 count. Shingo hits a Made in Japan for a 2 count, hits a Pumping Bomber for a 2 count. Ospreay escapes a Last of the Dragon attempt, and then Shingo drops both of them, go down when he hits a headbutt. So they're both slow to get up. Ospreay hits a one-man Spanish fly in the middle. They exchange a few pin attempts, and then Shingo hits a Death Valley driver off the top rope, and Ospreay kicks out at 1. Shingo hits another Pumping Bomber for a 2 count. He hits another Last of the Dragon for he hits a Last of the Dragon and gets the 3. I thought this match was awesome. The Death Valley driver off the top rope was insane, and the coast to coast drop kick was amazing.
Man, Will Ospreay just doing a beautiful shooting star press in the middle of a match just for the hell of it. Just every little thing that he does, the way he moves, it just blows your mind and makes you question reality.
All the added muscle has not slowed him down.
Not at all, no. Something that I'm going to keep harping on for this tournament and from now on, just all of the little reasons that every matchup has its own story. Okay, this match, it's interesting from this end up. This is their second ever meeting. The first was one of the all-time great junior heavyweight match. Now it's 16 months later. They're both heavyweights. It's just an interesting way to think about their progression. This is what long-term stories in New Japan are. They are based on sport and how real people would respond to real challenges over real time. And I think I finally got a result right here. Yay.
Yeah, because Shingo actually dropped his first 2 matches, right? This is his first win.
Yes, believe so.
Yeah, so I was not seeing Shingo coming into this match with no wins, but yeah, this is one of the things that I really like about New Japan, how they book. You don't see a lot of singles matches between the stars. Like you said, it's been 16 months, and they've met each other twice in the past 16 months, and that's an ongoing thing with all of the huge matchups. Is they might meet in the G1 once a year, and that's about it. You might get 2 singles matches between the same 2 people, in a year, but it's rare that it goes much more than that. Right. So that's always something that I really like about it.
Yeah, it's either gonna, if it's not a championship match, it might be in the G1. There's a much lower chance. Maybe you'll just end up in the New Japan Cup in the same bracket, or occasionally. If you have a personal issue, they have what they call special singles matches. But these matchups are not just, you haven't seen Naito wrestle Okada 37 times on Raw over the past 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
These matches they happen and they have history. Everybody has a multi-match history, but it's not just to the point where you're tired of it because you've seen it. It's it's ongoing stories and characters who, as part of a long-running, all-encompassing narrative, keep encountering each other and building their own history with each other. I'm sorry, I've actually done academic research thinking about how pro wrestling works as a storytelling narrative, so I get a little excited when I start on that tangent.
Well, that's good. That's what New Japan's been doing. It's what AEW's been doing. They don't give away matches. They don't do the same match over and over again. You have guys who have been in New Japan for 10 years each, and they've been in New Japan at the same time over the same 10 years, and they've fought maybe 8 times. You'll see that quite a lot. So it's just how they take their approach to booking their show. And I mean, that's exactly how things go in other fight sports, in quote unquote legitimate fight sports. Somebody in the UFC, you're not gonna see the same matchup month after month or 3 times in a single year. They're going to be spread apart by like 4 years between the same matchup happening again.
And AEW is the same way. Like Cody and Darby Allin have had 3 singles matches, but they were over the span of 10-11 months.
Yeah. Well, I think even slightly more than that, because I think their first one was in July of last year. So yeah. Over a year, and they had like their kind of their threesome. Though I always thought that Darby Allin should have been the one to take the TNT title off of Cody. But anyway,
okay, that's the other podcast.
That's
stop trying to get me off on a tangent, Eric. Let's talk about New Japan.
Tune in on Thursday, and we'll be talking about AEW. But anyways, again, a really great match, and then we have another really fun match, I thought. Again, really good. This is Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada, and I believe during this match, did they mention? Yes, I have it right here. They mentioned that Jay White has not been submitted since before going on Excursion. So yes. He has not been submitted since back in 2016. I believe they said it was Tenzan who submitted him. But that was it. 2016 is the last time Jay White's been submitted in New Japan. Jay White, right at the beginning, is running his mouth about the betrayal of he and Gato being in the arena that they're in when he turned on Chaos and Gato turned on Okada, and they went to Bullet Club. Okada's back is still taped up. That might actually be a legit injury. It's been mentioned on the Observer that he is actually working through some actual injuries, so I don't know if that's legit or not. Anyways, Jay, of course, powders early multiple times, as he always does. Whenever like one punch happens to hit him, he just drops down to the ground and rolls out of the ring to create space. And Jay White keeps attacking the back. He throws tons of forearms into the back. And Jay White was actually in control for a good amount of the early match. Okada hits a flapjack to try to build some momentum, but it doesn't last very long. Gato gets involved. Okada actually follows him up the ramp. And when Jay White comes in, he kicks Jay White and then gives both Gato and Jay White a DDT on the stage. We have Okada trying to pick up Jay White, but his back just gives out. So that, I think, is going to be an ongoing story for the rest of the G1 to explain Okada is probably not even getting close to the top of the tally this year. Jay White gets back into control with a DDT of his own. He keeps working on the back, hits a blade buster for a 2 count. Okada manages to get White off the top rope and hit the backpack neck breaker for a double down. They're both slow to get up, but while they're getting up, they get into a striking exchange, throwing about 10 forearms each. Gato wants so Jay White is in control, and Gato wants him to use the Rainmaker on Okada, but it does not work out for him. They keep avoiding finisher attempts until Jay White hits a Uranagi and Okada hits back with a drop kick. He goes for the money clip, but Gato comes in and he ends up eating a shotgun drop kick for his troubles. Then he goes and locks on the money clip onto Jay White. Jay White uses or tries to do a thumb to the eyes, but Okada just lets him do it, and he doesn't let go of the hold. Gato then, did Gato throw something at the ref? I don't know how the ref got distracted by Gato, but I thought something might have flown in and hit the ref. Anyways, Gato distracts the ref. Jay White hits a low blow, and they have a short exchange continuing after that. Then Jay White hits the Blade Runner, and that's all she wrote. And he picks up the win. After the match, though, as Okada's leaving, he's trying to get Okada's attention on the microphone. He over and over saying his name. And Jay White thanks Okada for coming out to celebrate one of the most important wrestling history moments. And he says it shouldn't be the G1. It is now the J1 since he is undefeated. And he continued the comments very similar to that in the back as well. Jay White has really grown on me since coming in, starting last year's G1 where he kind of took on the persona that he has now. And just how he cuts his promos now is just so dickish. It's just great. He's full of himself. He talks down everybody. It is just a thing of beauty now, that what Jay White's been doing for about the past year now.
I don't know if it's going to be this year. It might be, but he's going to win this thing within the next couple of years, and he's going to deserve it. Yeah, I don't know. I literally, my notes just say Gato distraction, so I also didn't see what Gato did to do the distraction. This match, it was not on the higher end of Okada White matches, but it was still a main event on any card anywhere in the world. So the story is Okada trying too hard with the money clip? Is he neglecting the Rainmaker? And yeah, it seems like the story is he should have gone for the Rainmaker.
Yeah.
So he wants to be different, but in trying to be different, he has stopped being Okada. But being Okada is what made him the greatest. So he has to embrace the Rainmaker.
Yeah.
So yeah, Okada, who I had winning the G1, looking like he is going to have a very rough tournament.
Yeah, I'm curious what the story is about that. If the back injury is legit and if he is kind of working hurt, it would make sense for him to not win, of course, and be able to take the rest of the year off, basically, because they're planning on doing the Super Juniors and the Tag League. So it's unlikely Okada will be on any of those shows. So gives him November and December to heal up or do whatever he needs to do. I don't know if it's bad enough that he might need surgery at some point. We never know. Is he 30 now? I'm not sure how old Okada is now, but
he's 33 because he's my age.
Oh, okay. All right. So Okada's 33, and he's had some pretty hard.
He will be 33 next month.
All right.
He's 3 months younger than me.
So he's had a pretty very tough years sitting on top of New Japan for a total of probably 3 years combined, when he's as holding the championship. So he has taken a lot of wear and tear in all those main events. So hopefully he is not hurt in some ongoing way, and this just happens to be a recent tweak or anything like that, and hopefully he can come back and he'll be fine physically. But yeah, Jay White here sitting at 6 points after his third block match. Yeah, we'll see how this comes down if he continues his winning ways for the rest of the tournament here. All right, we go into night 6, September 29th. We are now back in Tokyo. We are in Kurikan Hall, and this is really the only Kurikan Hall stop. We have this night and the next night, and then they leave again, which is kind of strange for a G1. They tend to do almost 5 shows probably over the course of the tournament there usually. So only 2 shows in Kurikan Hall this year. We have Gabriel Kid and Yuya Uemura starting it off once again. Lots of chain wrestling early on. Kid is in control for a good amount of the first half of the match. And Kevin Kelly mentions about how Shibata is high on Gabriel Kid here. We talked about that earlier. Uemura makes a bit of a comeback. They have some back and forth, and then Uemura submits Kid with a full crab. So this, I think, is the second time he's submitted Kid with the full crab during this stint. I'll have to go back and check my notes on that.
Yeah, this was really good. This was the match that I really started to think about Gabriel Kid's potential as a catch wrestler. You know, these guys are so good, just so good.
Yeah, and Uemura is deceptively big. He is like not even just being tall, but he's a wide guy for just his proportions make him look skinnier than he is. But yeah, he's a big guy, and I'm curious what kind of style he decides to come out. But all 3 of these young lions this year, or all 3 of these young lions that are just doing this round robin, basically, they're all legit heavyweights. So usually a lot of times you'll have the mix of the kind of the smaller guys and the bigger guys, but these guys are all legit heavyweight size. So good to see these guys. So it's a heavyweight across the board night. All right, we move on to the first block match of the night. So this is B block, the third B block, and we have Sanada versus Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi takes control at the beginning, but they end up fighting to the outside. Sanada sends Yoshi-Hashi into the barricade, hits an assisted twisting neck breaker off the barricade. And Yoshi-Hashi sells his ankle for a minute, but it really didn't come into play later. So I'm not sure if it might have been just a legit tweak for a second. Maybe he rolled his ankle or something like that. But it didn't really come into play for the rest of the match. Yoshi-Hashi hits a power bomb and goes up for a swanton, but Sanada gets his knees up. Not really. I think Sanada's knees were a bit late on that, but they played it off as such. Sanada moonsaults into the skull end, gets the hooks in. I'm like, whoa, this one's quick. This one's going to be over early, but Yoshi-Hashi manages to fight out of the skull end, and then when Sanada goes up for a moonsault, Yoshi-Hashi gets his knees up, and we have a double down here. They go back and forth for a bit. Yoshi-Hashi hits Karma and gets the win. So Sanada drops his first 3 matches, and this was actually played up on commentary a bit, that it seems like Sanada just is not motivated this year.
Yeah, so this match, it's yet the lowest ranked heavyweight in LIJ versus the lowest ranked heavyweight in Chaos. You know, all these matches just have that little bit of meaning to them. And what do you do with Sanada? Like, I feel like everyone feels like he has top guy ability, and everyone knows it. It's just, it is a booking challenge to figure out how to get him there.
Yeah, that's always been the thing. I've never really. His matches are good. I mean, I could watch a Sanada Zack Sabre Jr. match all the time because they're just amazing when they come together. But like, he doesn't seem to have much personality. That's always been he always changes up his hair and all that. That's about all the personality you get out of the guy. The guy has very little facial expressions. He's always just I don't know. His face always seems blank.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's I know exactly what you mean. There's a hurdle that he's got to get over to be a top guy. But still, man, Yoshi-Hashi upset was a shocker. My bracket is shit.
Not as good as Yoshi-Hashi's previous block match, but yeah, I was not expecting him to take down Sanada and Sanada drop his first 3. This has been I can't believe so-and-so has dropped his first 3 type of tournament here, and I can't believe so and so has won his first 3 type of tournament. As later on in this night as well. We next up we have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenta, and Kenta actually just drops and sits down to try to bait in ZSJ to get into his guard, and they actually do quite a bit of mat work until Zack Sabre Jr. puts on a knee bar. Kenta was like right next to the ropes. He grabs the rope and then he rolls outside and takes a bit of a breather. Back in the ring, this time Zack Sabre Jr. is the one to sit, and Kenta looks like he's going to take the bait, but then he just starts kicking the guy while he's down. They, with a bunch of kicks, they fight on the outside. Kenta runs Zack Sabre Jr. into the barricade a few times. They go back and forth. ZSJ starts to target the surgically repaired shoulder of Kenta. He gets him into a Kimura for a minute, but Kenta gets to the ropes there. They have a little bit out of the ordinary for kind of these two. They have a hard striking exchange that went on for a good amount of time. Kenta hits a draping DDT for a 2 count. Kenta then hits the basement drop kick in the corner and a double stomp off the top rope that looked like it sucked because he landed way high. Like, I think you're supposed to land on the abs, not on the chest. You know, it's supposed to land on the muscles, not on the other person's bones where they can't, protect themselves. But he only gets a 2 count there. Hits a psycho knee for a 2 count. They exchange submission holds for a little bit. They have a bit of a back and forth. And then Kenta hits a GTS and gets the pin. Oh my God, did you see Zack's head on that GTS? It snapped backwards. He clocked him so hard in the face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this match was like, it was violent for a Zack Sabre match, less violent than your typical Kenta match. This is kind of, Zack can wrestle a corpse. Kenta is far from a corpse in the wrestling department. Kenta is the kind of guy who, usually, now there are exceptions, but usually he's the kind of guy he's going to hit you hard, but in safe places. So, I love both of these guys, and I love this matchup, and I just love the way that they mesh together. This was wrestling. This was good shit.
Yeah, Kenta needs to work on his accuracy when it comes to the double stomps, because this is the second double stomp in a row where he did not land where he's supposed to. So, because I think he slipped. He basically barely landed on the last opponent he had, and this one he landed way high up on the body this time. So he needs to learn on his needs to improve his accuracy to not kill the other guy. But yeah, I thought this was a really fun match. Again, Zack Sabre Jr., yeah, he can wrestle anything, and it will be a good match. Next up, we have Juice Robinson versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi has dropped his first 2 matches, so he's already starting off from behind here. They actually start off with some chain wrestling, lots of back and forth. Not something I expect out of these two. And then Juice gives Tanahashi a superplex and a jackhammer for a 2 count. Juice goes for a pulp friction, but Tanahashi escapes and hits 2 sling blades in a row. He hits a top rope, aces high. Juice rolls through though for a near fall, and then Juice hits a right hand and then a left hand of God. Tanahashi he goes for the pulp friction, but Tanahashi turns the pulp friction into a roll up, and Tanahashi gets the pin. And Juice Robinson pretty much had this one in the bag until the vet just kind of rolls through a little bit and gives it the last desperation oomph and gets the pin.
Yeah, so this is an interesting match in that. So Tanahashi is past the point of beating top guys like Okada and Naito in singles matches. Okay, so he lost to Naito in his first tournament match, but that's Naito. He lost to Yano, but that's Yano. Anybody can lose to Yano at any time. So can Tanahashi still beat Juice? Okay, this felt like a test for, the Twilight Ace. Can he still compete in the pack? And the answer was interesting because he beat Juice, but it was by the skin of his teeth.
Yep.
Might have been the skin of the teeth that had just been knocked loose by the left hand of God. Juice went for Pulp Friction. Tanahashi slipped out, got him with a front cradle, and got the pin. Tanahashi won, but it was not with the overwhelming power of the ace. It was with experience and skill.
Yep. It was not a decisive victory here. So, continuing to go forward, we have just interesting ways how everything is stacking up here with Tanahashi only sitting at 2 points after 3 nights. Okada, dropping to Jay White, and it's crazy how these brackets are going here. Very interesting G1 so far, and then going forward, what are we going to see with Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi after this tournament is over? I was thinking at one point we might see them face off in the finals, but I don't think it's going to head that way. So yeah, I'm curious to see what Tanahashi does post G1 at this point. Then next up, we have Yano versus Evil. This was a short match. Starts out, Yano goes to take off the turnbuckle pad. Well, Evil obliges and takes off. They both remove the other 2 turnbuckle pads, so all 4 corners are exposed. They have a little bit of a fight with the pads, and then on the outside, Yano tapes Dick Togo to the barricade to try to take him out of the equation. And then back in the ring, Dick Togo does manage to get released, and basically everybody hits a low blow on everybody, and then Yano hits a low blow on both Evil and Dick Togo at the same time, and Yano rolls up Evil for the pin. Yano, after 3 matches, has 6 points.
I'm gonna make a plea here. Gato, I know you listen. I know that like 16 people listen to this podcast, but one of them is Gato because he understands that I understand his wrestling genius and he looks for my insight. Gato, listen to me. Just let Yano win the G1. Look, you can't fill up the Tokyo Dome this year anyway. It'll draw what it'll draw. Let us have it. It's 2020. It's the stupidest year ever. Just let it be stupid, okay? Everyone else has their epic battles, but Yano just wins every match through shenanigans and breezes through to the finals, and then he can pull a bigger heist of the century than Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. I'm not saying he doesn't have to win the belt or anything, but just it's Toru Yano, King of Pro Wrestling 2020. That's why he won the trophy. It's his year. The stupidest year ever is the year of Yano.
Yeah, and now, so far, now Yano does not have any legit challengers for his King of Pro Wrestling title. Somebody's got to beat this guy so we can at least see a King of Pro Wrestling. Somebody take that trophy from him. But, oh man, that would be ridiculous if Yano won. That would top off 2020 as being the most messed up year in history.
It's what else? It's got to. Every stupid thing that could possibly have every stupid thing that could have possibly happened this year has happened. Okay, it just let it happen. Just let it be stupid.
All right, and then we have our final match of the evening. It is Tetsuya Naito versus Hiroki Goto. Putting these two together is always a good time. Back and forth early until Naito decides to target Goto's taped up shoulder that I think the story goes it was injured in the first match that he had during this G1, so that's probably going to be an ongoing issue for him for the rest of the tournament. They fight on the outside, and Goto gets sent into the barricade. Naito hits a neckbreaker across the back of his knee for a 2 count. Naito keeps trying various submissions targeting the shoulders and neck of Goto. A little unconventional for Naito trying all these submissions here. Goto ends up hitting a huge bulldog for a 2 count. Naito retakes control, though, with strikes and more submission attempts. Goto finally hits a superplex at one point and starts to take it a bit to Naito until Naito comes back again with a swinging DDT. Naito hits a series of pull-in elbows that he has been fond of during this G1. He kind of hits 3 of them and kind of drops the dude on a third, and he pulls him back to his feet and does it again, and pulls him to his feet and does it again. He hits a Super Rana, and Naito tries for a Destino, but ends up eating a GTR and then a draping reverse GTR. Eating a reverse GTR and then a draping reverse GTR for a 2 count. Goto goes for a Yoshi-Hashi, but Naito reverses that into a reverse DDT, or a half Destino if you want to call it that, because basically Destino is just a flip over reverse DDT. Naito that actually happens right at just shy of the 20-minute mark. They get into a striking exchange, bunch of forearms. Goto finally hits his Yoshi-Hashi right at the 20-minute mark. Naito escapes a GTR, hits a Destino, but only gets a 2 count. He goes for another one, but Goto turns it into kind of a GTR out of the flip. It was pretty cool, but he is slow to follow up, so it allows Naito to recover. Goto hits a kick and then goes for a GTR, but Naito reverses that into a brainbuster, hits the Destino, and gets the win. So here we have another one where it looks like somebody is going to get the victory, but the other person hits 2 moves and it's over.
Oh, my bracket sucks. I didn't even get this one, man. I didn't even get my Goto upset over Naito. Okay, so these guys are contemporaries, obviously. They're not exactly the same dojo class, but they debuted within a couple of years of each other. Both started out as junior heavyweights, matured into heavyweights. Goto has a little bit of seniority, but Naito has long since surpassed him. So Goto has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Tetsuya Naito, and we know that a properly motivated and channeled Hiroki Goto is dangerous to anyone. See, every matchup has meaning, and it's not stupid or contrived or insulting. It's realistic stories with real people, okay? Everybody knows that 9 times out of 10 in a singles match, Naito beats Goto. But what if this is 1 out of 10? It wasn't, but it might have been.
Yeah. So finishing up after night 6, we're sitting, so on the A block, we're sitting with Taichi with 3 points, Yujiro Takahashi with 0. We have Jeff Cobb with 2 points and Suzuki with 4. Kota Ibushi is sitting with 4 points, and Tomohiro Ishii is still sitting at 0. I forgot that he's dropped his first 3 as well. Will Ospreay has 4. Shingo Takagi has 2 points, and then Okada is only sitting with 2 points. Jay White with the full 6, so he is undefeated. And then in the B block, we're sitting with Yoshi-Hashi with 2 points, Sanada with 0, dropping his first 3 matches. Zack Sabre Jr. with 2, Kenta with 4, and then we have Juice Robinson. He has 4 points, where Tanahashi only has 2. Yano sitting with 6 points, Evil with only 2 points, Naito with 6, and Goto with 2. So Interesting, we're sitting with Naito and Yano on the top of the B block. That is something I never thought I would say. And then we have Jay White, and I believe he's sitting... Oh, and Taichi sitting on top of... So we have Taichi and Jay White sitting on top of A, and Naito and Yano on the top of B. These things don't go together.
2020's stupid, man. 2020 is stupid.
All right. Well, so far, how do you think this G1 has been going overall? I think this has been given the circumstances, this has been a really fun G1. All the matches have been good to excellent. We had a couple that were total bangers when we had Minoru Suzuki and Ishii. That was just spectacular. So we've had some really excellent matches, and I think the most of a dud was maybe one of the Yano matches, but other than that, I think these matches have all been pretty good, and we have some really surprises coming out of Taichi, and a really good performance out of Yoshi-Hashi in his previous block match. So interesting to see this year.
Yeah, well, if you judge it by my ability to get inside the mind of Gato, it's a terrible tournament. But it's going very well. It's, you know, I'm a wrestling nerd, and I love to study booking and think about it and go, oh, that's okay. You know, so I love the G1, and it's just, you know, it's the one time a year where wrestling feels more like a sport than, you know, anything else. Everything is, you know, just down to the details, the statistics. It's just such a good time. It's you know, it's like it's a high holiday for wrestling nerds, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and this format, I think, has improved it a lot, where you don't have all those undercard matches like usual, and I pray to God they keep this format going forward.
Yeah.
Because it's actually made it way more enjoyable than previous years when you have all the early matches, where you still have to kind of pay attention to those because things play out and you don't want to miss the story going into the next match. So yeah, I'd love to see it continue this way. I think we're going to be talking about the nights 7 and 8 on Wednesday. Probably maybe a slightly earlier start time. Maybe we'll shoot like 6:45 so we can actually watch AEW when it starts. But we'll figure that out when a time comes. So those interested in New Japan stuff, hopefully we'll be back on Wednesday. Thursday, as always, is going to be AEW. We're planning on doing a roundtable show on Saturday. We're going to have a few more people. We're going to talk about the first year of AEW having TV. So we'll talk about who's sitting pretty. We'll talk about everybody who was on the first show and where they're sitting now, if things went the way they should have or not. And we'll just give a year in review with some other hosts as well. So that should be a fun one. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up tonight?
No, man. I changed my Twitter handle for reasons. It's you know, it makes sense to me. I promise. It's at Rebel Historian. It's a thing. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I know what I'm doing.
Sounds good. So everybody, if you are listening to this podcast, head over to the YouTube channel because we do this show live, so you can come hang out in the chat and remind us if we say anything stupid. But I was late in scheduling this one. But if you hit the bell notification, it'll let you know as soon as we go live or as soon as I make a scheduled live show, so you can come hang out with us. Thursday nights is usually AEW Dynamite review show. New Japan stuff is all over the map because they do not have a set schedule. So be sure to check that out. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can grab this as a podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. Head over to iTunes, give us a review. It really helps out in the search results. There's also a Discord you can come hang out with. as well. Mailbag questions, comment, feedback, all that good stuff. You can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. And I think that is it. So for Trae, Wisecarver, my name is Eric LaRoche, and you've been listening and watching to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.